Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast. It's your host, Jeff Farrell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi, coming at you to break down everything you need to know for Week 14 in the NFL. We're going to kick it off with a little Week 13 recap, and then we will go game by game, breaking down everything you need to know for Week 14 to lock in all your favorite bets. We'll give out our player props along the way, and then we'll close the show with long shots, favorite bets of the week, the Chalk Donkey Parlay, and it'll be a nice little week here. Brew, how was Week 13 for you?
Honestly, it was an awesome week. Probably close to, if not my most profitable week of the year, despite the Vikings ruining a couple teasers for me. But yeah, pretty awesome week, not gonna lie. And I know you had a pretty big week as well. So we're riding a hot streak here.
Yeah, feeling good. Similar story here. I think it was my most profitable week of the year. I think really, other than that Vikings game, I can't really remember too many other games that really didn't go the way I thought they were going to. So, and the props were awesome. So awesome week. Recapping it, our debate of the week. We did not have one last week, so I will stay at 5-4 with a slight lead. We do have a debate this week, so we'll see if I can increase my lead or you can tie it up. Favorite bets of the week. We both got wins on teasers. You go to 8-4-1 on the year, and Eagles and Colts teaser came home easy. Did the Gardner Minshew news impact your confidence at all? Because we obviously recorded this under the impression that Hurts was going to be starting. That was like a late week thing that Minshew was put in there.
Yeah, and I think I said on the podcast at the time, Hurts had said he was good to go, but I did say, if Minshew does play, I don't think it has a big impact. They should just be able to run the ball. And, the spread ended up dropping to 4.5 by game time. So I actually ended up buying into the Eagles there as well, because I didn't think, a 2.5 to 3 point drop off in that matchup for Hurts being out was worth it. So yeah, Minshew did what he had to do. He played great and they ran the ball like I expected.
Didn't look great in the beginning of the game. The Jets were going right up and down the field every time they touched the ball. And then all of a sudden they couldn't gain a yard for the whole second half. So my teaser, I go to 8-4 with a win. I got the Cardinals and the Colts. So big teaser week last week. Not quite as many options this week, but still a couple spots that we will talk about. Long shots of the week. Roo staying hot. 5-7 on the year. A win with an Austin Eckler touchdown and Chargers money line plus 240 comes home for you.
Yeah, we said it from the jump that that line at 3.5 with the Chargers was pretty ridiculous. Complete overreaction to the week before. That game was a toss-up. Should have been a pick 'em. I felt pretty good about the Chargers winning, and came through. Eckler took him a while. I don't think he scored till late in the game, but brought it home. Another 3 in a row, I think, for my long shots.
Yeah, you are streaking. See if we can keep it up. My long shot lost. I got a 4-7. I was all over Taysom Hill on Thursday Night Football. He was crushing it in the rushing department, came home with the prop sheet. Unfortunately, I had him at an anytime touchdown. It's hard for him to score a touchdown because the Saints could not move the ball. The only way they could move the ball was Taysom Hill running. And for whatever reason, every time they would get into the red zone, they would drop back and pass 3 times and have to punt or kick a field goal or whatever. It was frustrating. But
yeah, and that hand injury obviously was a huge impact in that game. I felt like
he couldn't throw in the second
I felt
half.
like if you were on the Saints, which I had them at 6. I still felt like I was on the wrong side. But you saw once he had to throw the ball, like there was a couple throws that he threw over 20 yards, just didn't have the zip on it. He wasn't able to lead guys to where they needed to be. So yeah, that ended up playing a huge part. And he didn't have much of an opportunity to score. So yeah.
Chalk Donkey Parlay came through last week. Eagles, Colts, and Cardinals all win. I think I actually said when we were going through, I was not comfortable with the Vikings.
Yes.
So glad we ruled that one out. They were, I think, the only big favorite that didn't win. So that goes to 5-3 on the year. Chalk Donkey Parlay continues to be profitable at plus money. Prop sheet goes 10-3 on the week. Another slam dunk, 90-43 overall, 67.7% hit rate. If you blind bet $100 on every single play on our prop sheet this season, you would be up well over $4,000. And we still have 5 weeks of the regular season, plus the playoffs, plus the Super Bowl. Just an incredible hit rate. Shout out to us for all the work we put into these props and the hours and hours of research and the checking the sports books about 8 billion times a day to see when the lines are posted, because they post them at every single hour of the day. Nice to see it pay off.
Yes, indeed.
All right, heroes and zeros of the week, and then we will spin it forward to week 14. Who do you have for your hero of the week?
I have Taylor Heineke. I was big on Washington this week. I bet their money line at plus money. He had a tip ball interception late in the game that the Raiders ended up going down and scoring. They got the ball back. He, along with Antonio Gibson, took them down the field, got in position for the game-winning field goal. Love the football Heineke's playing right now. Love the football that the footballs are playing right now. So I'll give Taylor Heineke a little shout out this week as my hero of the week, because they were down by 1 point on that last drive, and I was just shaking because I took money line and when they were plus 1.5. So it's like, what are the chances that a game ends on 1? And here I was like staring down the barrel of this, but Heineke ended up getting in position. So
all right. Fair enough. My hero of the week, I'm going to go with Gardner Minshew. I was locked into quite a bit of Eagles bets from earlier in the week. I had them at a teaser. I had them at -6.5. I thought Hurts was playing. Didn't love that Minshew was starting. I still thought the Eagles were going to win, but I wasn't really comfortable with my position. He came home for us. I wrote it out. He's just such a fun guy to root for. Awesome backup quarterback to have. The look, the swagger. He's a fun guy to root for. So Gardner Minshew, hero of the week.
Yeah, it's so weird. I think we said this on previous podcasts, but we try and get on these lines so early, and now we already have to deal with the COVID stuff, which is popping up midweek. But now we're having injuries pop up that weren't even mentioned during games. Like, we didn't know Hurts was hurt. We didn't know Daniel Jones was hurt, and then we have these injuries.
Or the beat reporters just suck at reporting them. Like,
too,
Daniel Jones is out for 3 weeks. No, actually he's questionable. No, actually he's playing. No, actually he's out for the season. Like, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah. So it's getting tougher when you jump on these lines early. I'd say more times than not, it does pay off, but it's just,
it evens out with some of this stuff.
But just frustrating at some points.
Yeah, but worked out this week. All right, your zero of the week. Who do you got?
Easy slam dunk, Mike Zimmer. What are we doing here? I mean, the Lions get the ball back, and you would think there was 10 seconds on the clock with the defense they're in. They got the ball with a minute 50 seconds left, and they're backed off 15 yards on every play. They just let Goff have these.
I felt like I was watching a replay of the same play 10 times in a row.
Exactly. It was unbelievable. They're just backed off, and then they get in the red zone. The last play of the game, they're still backed off. I mean, the
quarterback was 8 yards deep in the end zone. Who was he guarding back there?
St. Brown just runs around, and as soon as he gets to the end zone, turns around, and no one's within 3 yards of him to make a play. It was just unbelievable. They didn't bring any pressure on Goff. I think they blitzed one time off the edge on that final drive. It was just, I feel like me and you could have played pitch and catch and took them down the field there. It was absolutely unbelievable. I don't know how Mike Zimmer is not fired at this point.
And he's a defensive coach. How do they let him get on the plane to go home?
It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I also had Mike Zimmer as my zero of the week. As an honorary mention, this is probably going to be a bit controversial, but I think Josh McDaniels deserves a zero of the week. I know the Patriots won the game, and everyone has been praising Bill Belichick all week. I personally was not a big fan of their game plan. I think, look, they came out with the win. I was on the Patriots and teasers. I was super happy with the result. But I just feel like they missed an opportunity here. When you have a rookie quarterback in that big game environment, in a weather game, if the Patriots end up with the number 1 seed, what do you think the games are going to look like in Foxborough in January? I just felt like this was a great opportunity to see what Mac Jones is made of, give him some experience in these big games. And instead they had him drop back and hand the ball off 75 times. And yes, they got the win. That's important, but I think that you want to try and develop Mac Jones for these situations, because you're not going to be able to win in January, run through the AFC by running the ball 75 times a game. I just felt like it was a missed opportunity when they could have at least worked in 10 to 15 passes to give him something to work on.
But it wasn't about that for me. It wasn't about the development of Mac Jones or anything. And yes, again, they won the game, but you can win despite things. And I think they won despite that game plan. They were willingly giving up possessions to the Bills. I mean, it's a 3rd and 13. They're just running a dive play. It's a 2nd and long. It's running. They were willing and giving up possessions. And, the Bills got down in the red zone twice in the fourth quarter.
It hit Stephon Diggs in the hand in the end zone. If he saw the ball, it was a touchdown.
If they convert one of those, then you're in a position where you have to pass, having not thrown the entire game. So you go from Mac Jones just taking a snap and handing it off every play to now needing to lead a game-winning drive with 2 minutes left. So they got the win. I was happy. I was on the Patriots, but they were one touchdown away from being in big trouble if the Bills converted. So
it's crazy, because all I've heard all week since the game has been how incredible the Patriots game plan was, and Bill Belichick's a genius. And yes, they had a great defensive game plan, but I honestly was watching the game thinking their offense was completely wrong.
And in reality,
they won in spite of it.
They broke off one big run. It's not like they were going up and down the field and getting in position. I'm with you on that, but I'm not ready to say a zero of the week because they did win. But yeah,
I know that may have been a little bit a little bit much, but we'll revisit this in January. If Mac Jones does end up folding in one of these similar games, maybe he could have got some experience in this one. Before we jump into week 14, just want to let everyone know we are going to be writing an article this week for Six Pack Coverage, our media affiliate of this podcast, sixpackcoverage.com. We'll post a link on our Twitter page. What is the article going to be about? You're probably asking yourself. I don't know yet, but me and Rue are going to discuss it. It's going to be on something awesome. Maybe it'll be on a play that we didn't get a chance to discuss on the podcast. Not sure yet, but I'm excited. We're going to put a lot of work into it. It's going to be awesome. So stay tuned.
And
teams on bye this week.
Prop sheets will be up on there as well.
Yes. Stay tuned for the prop sheet. Make some money. Teams on a bye for week 14. The Patriots, the Eagles, the Colts, and the Dolphins. This is the last week of byes. Thank goodness. Next week, we will get all the teams back. With that said, let's jump into Thursday Night Football. Interesting game here. Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to take on the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are 3 to 3.5 point favorites, depending on where you're looking. Over under is 43.5. For the Vikings, they're going to be without Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook. It sounds like the Steelers are going to be fairly healthy. I think Chase Claypool was on the injury report, but should play. Interesting spot here. We have short week for the short week for both teams, but the Steelers are on the road. They obviously just came off a rivalry game, brutally fought against the Ravens. But I just look at the number and it's like, do we have to bet the Steelers again here? Like, I could never lay points with the Vikings against almost any team. We saw that last week against the Lions. I really didn't want to have to bet on Pittsburgh this week. I don't like the rest travel disadvantage, but I feel like I kind of have to end up on Pittsburgh here. Help me out. Are you with me? Are we on Pittsburgh, or are you going the other way?
So I think if you want to be on Pittsburgh, I'm going to wait to get them live. We have to change the stat of the Vikings leading by 7 in every game to now leading by 6 in every game because they were only up 6 last game.
Oh, they only up 6?
Yeah. So,
darn it.
But still, they get a lead early every time. The Steelers, they've been playing from behind in some games as well. So I feel like there's going to be an opportunity to get the Steelers live at a better number. I don't love it at 3 right now. Steelers, you said they're getting healthier, but they still have a lot of guys that have been banged up throughout the season on a short week. From a Viking standpoint, it's at that point in the year. I know they're not obviously eliminated from the playoffs, but do teams start giving up at this point? What did that Lions win do? Is it a spot where they're going to want to bounce back, or is it a spot that they kind of gave up on Mike Zimmer and this team? So it's an interesting spot. Yeah, I would, I'm never going to turn down a Steelers as a dog, but my play, I'm going to wait to get them live.
I think I'm going to end up Steelers plus 3.5. And then I do like the idea of, and maybe I'll do like a half unit and add more live if the Vikings do go up early. But I think what you said on the Vikings potentially having some like quit potential in them, like I think that's real. I don't think the Steelers are in any position to quit. I think they're all bought into Tomlin, but I could see some guys in this Vikings locker room kind of looking around like, all right, what are we doing here? Like you see Justin Jefferson's body language, not saying that he's going to quit, but like there's some of these passes. There was like a 3rd and 12 towards the end of the game last week. The Vikings threw like a 6-yard out route and Justin Jefferson just like throws his hands up and walks off the field. Just like you could just like hear him saying like, what are we doing here? So I think that's a real thing here. So I'm probably going to end up on the Steelers 2 weeks in a row as a dog. Can't wait. Love betting on this team. No. Player props here. What do you got? I have 5 props written down in this game.
Okay, so I have 1 prop, and it is Deontay Johnson over 6.5 receptions.
All right, that was one of mine. Go ahead.
He's double-digit targets in all but 2 games this year. He's had 7 receptions in all but 3 games this year. Minnesota 21st in DVO against wide receiver 1. I absolutely love this line at 6.5, minus 115 right now, so you're not getting too much juice on it. Give me Deontay Johnson over 6.5 receptions. And I will say Najee Harris. I'm not touching his props this week. Interesting. Sunday, he only played 57% of the snaps, which was his lowest by a wide margin. And you're just kind of wondering if later in the season, they're somewhat starting to limit his workload, especially on a short week. Are we going to see a similar in that 55 to 60% range? So it's interesting. Maybe they only played him 50% of the snaps on Sunday, knowing they had a game this week and they wanted him more in this matchup. But Najee Harris is kind of a stay away from me just from that standpoint.
I don't even hate taking the under on Najee. 70.5 rush yards. Like, that's a pretty high line. I mean, the Vikings aren't a great defense, but that's something I'm going to strongly consider, especially if it gets bet up. People love to bet overs on these Thursday night games. If we get a number in the mid 70s on Najee, I think I'm definitely going to go under there. I'm totally with you on Deontay Johnson. Would you like to make that an official prop sheet play?
Yes. 6.5 receptions. Yep.
I also bet his over receiving yards. Kind of the same idea. I got it at 79.5 on FanDuel. So, good play there. Other plays for me in this game. I like Kirk Cousins over 249.5 passing yards. Steelers are not great against the pass. Cousins has gone over this line in 3 of the last 4. The Steelers allowed Lamar Jackson to throw for 253 last week. Burrow only 190 the week before, but that was because Joe Mixon had 28 carries. Herbert lit them up for 382. And even Justin Fields threw 291. So in the last few weeks, we've seen some quarterbacks go for bigger numbers. It's in a dome. He's going to have Justin Jefferson out there. I also like Justin Jefferson over receiving yards. No Thielen. He's basically uncoverable at this point. I got him at 90.5. He has 11 targets and 3+ 100-yard receiving games in each of the last 4 weeks. And Steelers are 25th in DVOA against the pass and 29th in DVOA against the deep pass. And then my last play in this game, Pat Freiermuth, anytime touchdown, if you can find plus 200 or better. Since the bye week and when he overtook the starting tight end role in the Steelers offense from Eric Ebron, Freiermuth has 5 touchdowns in his last 6 games. He has 13 red zone targets in the last 7 games. Didn't score last week, but did get that 2-point conversion, which is obviously good because they threw it to him at the 2-yard line, similar to a red zone target, although it doesn't count as a touchdown. So those are my props for Thursday Night Football.
Is that it?
That's it. Just 5 for the one game. That should be good for now. All right. Ready to move on to Sunday?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the AFC West. We'll start with the Raiders and the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to be 9.5-point favorites here. The over-under is 47.5. Kansas City has rattled off 5 straight wins. They've been getting it done really on defense, only scoring 23 points per game on offense. Their D is only allowing 11 points per game over that stretch. Definitely a flip of the script from what we've come to expect from this Chiefs team. The Raiders on the other side continue to just go all over the place. I don't know what to expect from this team on a week-to-week basis. Darren Waller did not practice today on Wednesday, so I would say he's probably on the wrong side of questionable, probably not going to play. Do you have any plays in this game?
I don't. I was waiting and I'm hoping they hang a 10 out there for the Raiders. I don't think it's going to happen. It seems like it's going the other way. It's one of those lines where it was hanging around 9.5. I don't see a huge difference between 9.5 and 8.5. So if it does dip, it's not the end of the world. I'd rather hold out for a 10. But yeah, you said it. This Chiefs, are they a defensive team now? I don't know what to make of it.
I don't know.
It's, we went the first half of the season just targeting this defense and they were terrible. And that's why they were losing. And now they can't figure out on offense. Mahomes' last 5 games, 258 yards per game, 59% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but that includes the 400-yard game, five touchdowns against the Raiders. So something just isn't clear. So if you take that out, these stats are terrible. 2 touchdown passes in 4 games and just nothing's working right now.
Yeah.
And I know that one game was against the Raiders, that big game, but I talked about it the week after. They came out in a cover 3 defense, which is the complete opposite of what all these other teams have been doing. So I'm going to say Gus Bradley's has to make an adjustment this game.
I can't wait for them to come out and cover 3 again this week.
There's no way they come out and run the same thing after just getting torched by them.
Too funny.
Look, that being said, I mean, what I say it every week, the Chiefs keep getting these big lines and yeah, they covered last week, but had it not been for that Kelsey fumble that was returned, that they could have lost that game. And it changed.
They didn't play well at all.
Yeah, it changes the entire game. They just shouldn't be this big of favorites against anyone. So, I know the Raiders, you never know what you're going to get with them, but I think they can do enough to hang with them here and cover this big of a spread. So give me the Raiders here. Like I said, I'm going to hold out and see where it ends up. If it hits 8.5, I'll grab that, but I'll wait to see if a 10 does pop up. Maybe some public money drives this towards the Chiefs.
Yeah, there's 9.5s out there, so we're not far away from 10. I would think about the Raiders if this got to 10 or 10.5, but no play on the side right now. I actually took the under on the opener at 52.5 and somehow have 5 points of closing line value.
It's going over. It's going over.
There's going to be 75 points in this game now as that happened. Would not touch it now. Definitely would not play the under. Honestly, I'm starting to think about a contrarian over now that it keeps dipping down to 47.5. I think that's a little bit too much, but we'll see. Props in this game. I think I have like another 5 here. Do you have any props? I'll let you go first.
I'm kind of in a debate of whether I want to target Josh Jacobs in the passing game. You know, Kenyon Drake's gone now. He saw 9 targets last week. So, you know, Kenyon Drake wasn't getting a ton of targets out of the backfield, but we saw with no Waller, Carr was just kind of leaning on Jacobs out of the backfield when he got in trouble. Now that Waller's not there, it seems like the defense can kind of focus more on Renfro to take him out of that possession receiver type role. So, you know, if we hang out like a 2.5, maybe 3.5 at plus money for Josh Jacobs receptions, I'd probably take that.
I'm with you there. I wrote down the exact same thing. Or you could look at receiving yards in the low 20s. He went 5 for 20 against Kansas City a few weeks ago. That was with Kenyon Drake in the lineup. So I'm with you on Josh Jacobs receiving yards. I am fading Josh Jacobs on the ground. I got his under rush yards at 57.5. Like you said, Kenyon Drake wasn't really stealing too many carries when he did come in. It was in the passing game. I know we played Jacobs under last week. You brought that to my attention. I honestly don't understand why he keeps being lined this high. He's 8-2 on the under on the season. For this line, the Chiefs defense has been playing a lot better. And when these teams just played in week 10, Jacobs went 7 rushes for 16 yards. So I'm fine with him at under 57.5. Also, like, I'm going to look at Hunter Renfrow receptions. I know you said the defense can key in on him, but honestly, it seems like Derek Carr drops back and looks at Renfrow. If he's covered, he throws it to Jacobs, and like if not, he throws the ball away. Like those are the only 2 guys to get targets. Since the bye week, he had 1 bad game against the Bengals where he caught only 4 balls, but aside from that, he has at least 9 targets in every game over the last 5, and at least 7 catches in every game as well, including 7 for 46 on 9 targets against Kansas City last time. So if you can get his over 5.5 receptions at like minus 135, maybe even over 6.5 at plus money, I'd be fine with that. And then the last one, Travis Kelsey. I haven't pulled the trigger on this yet. I want to kind of wait and dig into it a little bit more. His reception total, or his receiving line, opened up at 72.5. The Raiders do rank 30th in DVOA against the tight end. Kelsey went for 8 and 119 on 10 targets in week 10 against the Raiders. But he has had kind of an up and down season, and we know Mahomes has been struggling lately, so I don't know if I'm going to get there with Kelsey. It's
tough for me to back anything on this Chiefs offense because it's so tempting because you see the names, Hill, Kelsey, you're getting 5.5 receptions, low 70s, but just hasn't been there, you know, and I feel like, you know, in the last month, 2 months, they've hit their overs probably 1 or 2 times each. So, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, we'll wait and see. Maybe I'll get some lower numbers, but I probably end up passing Kelsey. All right, let's move on to the next game here. Let's go Saints and the Jets. Jets are 5-point home underdogs. Over under is 42.5. Saints obviously lost to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Jets came out on fire against the Eagles and then went scoreless for the last 40 minutes of the game. Bunch of injuries here. We have Taysom Hill is going to play with his mallet fingers situation. We'll see how good he is throwing the ball. Alvin Kamara should be back finally. Mark Ingram was placed on the COVID list and is not expected to play. Saints wide receiver Deontay Harris is also going to miss the game because of a suspension. On the Jets side, Corey Davis, wide receiver 1, is done for the season with a core muscle injury. And then Elijah Moore popped up on the injury report yesterday. He's now questionable. I do not like that at all because I actually played the Jets here at +6. I thought that this opener was a little bit crazy. I think that this Saints team is totally broken right now. Taysom Hill can't throw the ball. They've gotten no credit in the market the last few weeks. They were a 6.5-point underdog against the Cowboys last week. Now, I know that they're getting Kamara back, but I just think this is too many points on the road. I expected this to be Jets +4. I thought the opener at +6 was NUTS nuts. So give me the JETS. Jets.
Yeah, it's just weird that, you know, Taysom Hill's coming out basically saying he can't grip the football, and yet it seems like he's still 100% the starter this week. So I don't know.
Which is so weird because they refused to put Taysom Hill in for several weeks. Like now he's playing injured when he was injured before. They wouldn't play him.
Yeah, so it's very strange. I personally would not play the Jets here. I'm not seeing.
Would you play the Saints?
I would play the Saints if it keeps dropping. I would, because we saw last week you can just run right into the teeth of this Jets defense, and they're not going to be able to stop you. And with Taysom Hill back there, and now you're getting Kamara back, you can just run those two, alternate every play. And they can. The Jets barely touched the ball in the second half of that Eagles game, and the same thing could happen here. So it's to cover the spread, I feel like you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on Zach Wilson to get it done. Now, I will say, one of Wilson's biggest issues this year has been taking sacks. He was sacked on over 9% of his dropbacks, and all their Jets QBs were less than half that number. The Saints, dead last in pass rush win rate, just 20th in adjusted sack rate. We saw Wilson make it a point to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker last week. He still did get sacked 3 times, but the Jets defense is worse in the league, ranked 32nd in DVOA. So it's just, with Taysom Hill openly saying he can't throw the ball, it's just going to be all Saints running the ball. And I don't know if the Jets can stop it. So as of right now, I don't have a play. If it gets to 3.5, 3, I probably would take the Saints, but I would.
It's not going to get down to that. There's no chance this gets lower than 4.5.
I don't know. Maybe I saw a 4 hanging out there earlier. So
it's up to 5.5 now.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I'm probably not going to have a play then.
All right. I'll be riding the Jets. It's also a low total game. You're giving me 6 points in a 42.5 game. Crazy. Prop looks for you in this game.
Yeah, it's the Saints rushing attack. We'll see how much they adjust Taysom Hill yards after last week, and then we'll see where they put Kamara. Maybe you can go with if you get a Kamara, even rush attempts, we saw him getting 20 plus attempts all season when he was in there. So if you get,
do you worry about the first week back from injury though? Like he took so long. I mean, you kind of make the case either way. You could say he took so long to come back from this injury. He's got to be 100% healthy, or maybe it just kept nagging and they're going to limit it.
If Mark Ingram's not there, though, I mean, yeah, you could argue Taysom Hill takes some carries away from him. So maybe you just play yards. I'm fine with his yards. We'll see where they're at.
He's an explosive player. I feel like you'd rather play yards on Kamara than
that's
attempts.
fine. I'm fine with that either. So, both of those guys running the ball, nothing on the Jets side right now. Don't expect to have anything on the Jets side.
I agree. Maybe Elijah Moore. We'll see if he plays and where his number opens at, but he's been awesome. If Taysom Hill opened at 44.5, would you play the over?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I expect it to be, but we will see on Sunday or whenever they open the line. All right. Anything left to say on this one?
Nope.
Let's move on. AFC South. Jaguars and Titans. Titans are 8.5-point home favorites. The over-under is 43.5. Tennessee Titans are fresh off a bye week, a much-needed bye week, hopefully getting some guys healthy. Jags are basically about a dumpster fire at this point. The offense can't get anything going. James Robinson is getting benched for fumbling. So the only real threat on their offense is potentially playing behind Carlos Hyde. He's also been on the injury report several weeks with a knee and heel injury. So he looks a little beat up. The passing game just can't get anything going. They were lucky to even score last week. Don't have any official word on the Titans wide receivers. We know A.J. Brown's going to be out. Julio Jones was designated to return from the IR, but we don't know if he's going to play yet. And we know the Jaguars have a bunch of injuries, no new ones, but they've had injury after injury every week. Do you have a play on the side and total here? Because I believe we are on opposite sides of this game.
Yeah, I took the Jaguars. It was at 9.5, and this was another one I was waiting to see if they hung a 10 out there, but it went the other way. So I grabbed them at a flat 9. What are you scared of about this Titans team going up against them? I mean, no Henry, no AJ Brown, Julio, even if he does play, he's going to play 50% of the snaps and probably injure his hamstring in the first half. So
definitely
there's just nothing there on offense. Their defense is below average. It overperformed for most of the year. We saw what happened against the Texans when that turnover luck and stuff ran out for them. This offense has been terrible since Henry has went down. And I'm not going to say anything positive against for the Jaguars. Yeah, you said it. They're a dumpster fire team. They can't really get it going, but this is a matchup that this could be a low scoring game. Jacksonville's defense has shown they can step up at times. They're very good against the run. And I don't expect Hilliard and Foreman to have a huge game against them. Tennessee's 22nd in team DVOA, and that's despite all these games where they've won with their big weapons, beat these big teams. The DVOA is schedule adjusted, so when you're even counting those wins against the Bills and the Chiefs and these teams, they're still bottom 10 in the league. So I just don't see it. I think this is a matchup. I like backing Jacksonville in matchups where they should be able to run the ball. I don't expect James Robinson to be fully benched, but Tennessee's 16th in adjusted line yards, 19th in stuff rate, 22 in DVOA against the rush. So I think they'll be able to establish a run game, and we've seen them. They beat the Falcons behind James Robinson and running the ball. So Dolphins. Sorry, Dolphins in London. But yeah, I think they can hang in this one, and it's just I don't think the Titans should be this big of favorites against anyone at this point.
I disagree. I have not laid it with the Titans yet. The spread is dropping, so I'm going to wait and see where it goes. This is definitely one of my better teaser legs of the week. I like getting the Titans down under a field goal, and the Jaguars under team total is one of my favorite plays on the week. It is in contention for favorite bet of the week. And I think you touched on it. The Jaguars' inability to run the ball has really hampered this offense. James Robinson just doesn't look healthy. We saw last week 8 rushes.
I said they can run the ball in this matchup.
No, I don't think they can. No, you said they've been struggling to run the ball.
Oh, okay.
You're expecting them to be able to run the ball in this matchup. I don't think they can because they've been struggling, and I expect them to keep struggling. Robinson's yards per carry have been going down ever since the bye week, I believe. But essentially, he hasn't been that effective the last few weeks. I'm expecting a really good game from the Titans. I think Vrabel's a really good coach. I think he's going to have these guys fired and ready to go.
Let me ask, who are you expecting a big game from? Who on offense?
I think Ryan Tannehill is going to have a
throwing
good game.
To who?
Nick Westbrook and Keenan. He can throw to the running backs. He can throw to Julio.
The Jaguars have more weapons than the Titans at this point.
No, they don't.
They do. What do you mean they don't? They do. They have better.
They do, but they don't even know how to use them. Like Marvin Jones might as well not exist. They don't know how to throw the ball.
This should have been our debate of the week. I mean.
I don't expect the Jaguars to score more than 10 points in this game, and I think the Titans can get to 20. Crazy. It's not. They barely scored last week. They got 7 points, and the 7 were in garbage time.
Against a much better defense. The Titans' defense is not good.
They scored 14 against Atlanta the week before. It's like one of the worst defenses in the league, and they mustered up 14 whole points. And James Robinson actually had a good game that game. Okay. Anyway, I like the Titans here, and I'll be touching more on this game later.
All right.
Enough of that. Save our fighting for the debate of the week. Let's go to the Ravens and the Browns here. Rematch of week 12 when the Ravens won the game 16-10. That line closed Baltimore -3. This line is Browns -2.5. Quite the adjustment. The over-under is 42. Ravens finally lost a 1-score game last week to the Steelers. Obviously went for 2 at the end. Did not want to go into overtime, apparently.
I liked the call.
I don't know.
Your defense hadn't been able to stop the Steelers in the whole fourth quarter. The Steelers scored 17 points. Your offense couldn't move the ball. You were down there finally and scored.
Your offense couldn't move the ball. They went right down the field and scored.
I'm saying for most of the game they were struggling to move the ball.
Neither could the Steelers for most of the game.
Yeah, but the Steelers had the momentum is what I'm saying. I like the call.
The Ravens just went down and scored. And the Steelers had the momentum.
They executed the play too. Yeah, the play was there. I mean, they didn't execute.
Yeah, Andrews could have caught it.
Yeah, and Lamar threw it a little ahead of him. But yeah, anyway, continue.
This is off the rails here. All right, I'll just kick it over to you. Do the play on this game because I'm all out of sorts.
Well, I mean, it's just a weird, like the schedule. The Browns play the Ravens, get a bye.
Very weird.
When have we ever seen that before? So, it's almost like the NBA when you play back-to-back teams, you generally lean towards the team that just lost. But this number at 2.5 now, I'm waiting for this to get to 3. If this gets to 3, you can't talk me out of taking 3 points in this matchup with the Ravens. I already have the Ravens in a couple teasers. They might be my favorite teaser leg of the week. The reports right now from the Browns that I've read, even after the bye week, Baker still doesn't look right. He hasn't looked right all year. You expect another low scoring game here. You want to guess the last time that either of these teams scored 20 points in a game?
Week 11, week 10.
They both did it on November 7th. So 4 weeks ago was the last time either of these teams scored 20 points. So it's going to be another ugly game. And you just, you take the points where you can get them. So if you're hanging a field goal out there, and it seems like there's still money coming in on the Browns, which is crazy to me. So I'll hold out, and I might, honestly, if it gets to game day, it's still at 2.5. I might pay like a -125 just to get the 3.
I don't know about the last part, but I'm with you on everything else. If this ever got to 3, this would be one of my favorite bets of the week. I'm fine with the Ravens money line at plus 120. Ravens and teasers is like incredible. Like you just said, the teams can't score 20 points. The over-under is 42, and you could potentially get the Ravens up to 8.5. Like, oh my gosh, give me that.
It is
for
worth
everything I can
noting
get.
the Ravens also now lost Marlon Humphrey. Not sure how much of an impact that has.
This is the matchup that will not matter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's not obviously a huge impact on this matchup. It still has a factor. It's, something you have to mention. But
and for the
Browns have some O-line injuries as well. They lost Conklin, and they have J.C. Treader, who is questionable to play. So,
and David Njoku was placed on the COVID list.
Okay.
Also, the other thing I want to mention in this game, the team profiles for this team. The Ravens as a dog is the spot that you want to bet them. The Ravens as a favorite on the season, 2-7 against the spread. I did not include the game against the Bears where Lamar was supposed to play, then he didn't, and the spread went crazy. So 2-7 against the spread as a favorite. The Ravens as a dog are 2-0 against the spread, 2-0 straight up. The Browns as a favorite, 2-4-1 against the spread. You don't want the Browns as a favorite. You want the Ravens as a dog. All plays in perfectly to this. And honestly, if you told me that Case Keenum was starting for the Browns, I would like their offense a million times more right now. Like I would be less inclined to bet the Ravens if I knew Case Keenum was starting. The fact that they're going to keep rolling out Baker when he's not healthy, I don't even know if it's the health at this point. He just might not be a good quarterback, and he has no weapons around him to help him. This spread is absolutely crazy. Major overreaction to nothing, honestly. Props in this game for you?
I'm on the fence, taking Nick Chubb rush yards at 68.5. It's criminally low for Nick Chubb. He only had 16 yards the last time these teams played 2 weeks ago, but I think that's where the Browns went wrong, is they got away from the run too quickly. But that being said, the Ravens have a good enough defense to where if they do stack the box, they can shut down this running game, and the Browns have O-line issues. So it's probably going to end up being a pass for him, but I thought it was worth mentioning because it is a pretty low line for Nick Chubb.
It is low, but the Ravens, their run defense is actually really good. They're 27th right now in pass DVOA, number 5 in run DVOA. And that was something they were not as good at early in the season. That's been rising throughout the year. And we have Kareem Hunt back in, so he could steal some touches. So I know it's a low number. It seems super low for Chubb, but I don't love it in this matchup. Props I had in this game. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say we could go right back to Hollywood Brown if they hang out the same number this week.
Yeah,
I'm sure you were going to mention that. So it took till late in the fourth quarter to get it, but we got it.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's, even though it took long, I see no reason not to go right back to it. And hopefully we do get the same number because he barely hit it last week.
Yeah, totally with you. And 2 interesting notes from the last time these two teams played. Lamar threw 4 interceptions in that game, and I believe every single one of them was a pass targeted to Mark Andrews. So maybe the Ravens look at this game film and say, okay, maybe the Browns have figured out how to cover Andrews. We'll go to other guys. Hollywood saw 10 targets and went 8 for 51 in that game. So I think it's, there's reason to believe he might even get more volume this game. And then I want to see where Kareem Hunt receiving yards opens up at. I'm expecting him to be fully healthy now, a full week off coming off the bye. The team talked about playing him and Nick Chubb on the field at the same time more in the second half of the season. The Browns have no wide receivers to throw it to, and the Ravens, I actually mentioned this in their last matchup, they ranked 30th in DVOA against pass catching running backs. And I had the Nick Chubb over receiving yards last time that hit. So I think that as they try and incorporate Hunt into the offense a little bit more, if we can get his receiving yards maybe like the low 20s, I honestly don't even know where to expect them at because he's been out for so long, but he's going to be a look for me.
Yeah.
All right, next game. Falcons and the Panthers. We're in the NFC South in Carolina, where the Panthers are about 2.5-point favorites. I don't know if there's any 3s still floating out there or if I gobbled them all up because I am going to be on the Falcons at +3 here. Obviously coming off a loss to the Buccaneers while the Panthers are coming off their bye, but this was one of my favorite bets on the openers. I thought the Panthers should have been 1.5-point favorites. So if you're giving me a field goal with the Falcons, I'm all over it. I like them in teasers as well. The Panthers obviously to be missing Christian McCaffrey for the rest of the year. They just fired their offensive coordinator, Joe Brady. Matt Rule came out and said, I heard some quotes where he said he wanted them to run the ball 30 to 35 times. That's great. But when you don't have Christian McCaffrey, like if you're running Chuba Hubbard and Amir Abdullah 35 times, like I don't see how that's good for your offense.
For the record, he said that same quote at least 3 or 4 times this season. Just wanted to point that out.
That's true. I remember us talking about that early in the year. We had bet Chuba Hubbard over rusher. It's like Matt Rule came out and said we need to establish maybe that's why he fired Joe Brady, because he kept saying it. It wasn't happening. That's a good point. So we'll see how it affects them. I'm not in on this Panthers offense. Cam Newton can't throw the ball. Yeah, maybe he'll use his legs a little bit more, but I think Matt Ryan in the passing game for the Falcons can have enough success here. The Panthers' pass defensive metrics are actually hilarious if you look at them. In terms of DVOA, they rank dead last against opposing number 1 wide receivers. They are first against wide receiver 2s, 30th against wide receiver 3s, and then top 5 against tight ends and running backs. Like, how is there that large of a discrepancy?
I'll come back to that, actually, if that's weird. Okay. I'll come back to that.
I just thought it was funny. All right, so Falcons +3 for me. Super easy bet to make. Love them in teasers. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I expected like a pick 'em or maybe a Panthers -1 here. That being said, I've kind of been avoiding this Falcons team, betting on them. I just can't. I don't trust this team. And I still do really like this Panthers defense, but I don't want to get behind them with Cam at quarterback after what we saw a couple weeks ago. I said last week the game just looks too fast for him right now. His arm's not there. Now you're missing McCaffrey, which is obviously a huge hit. So. I'm just staying away from this game on the side.
This is the spot you want the Falcons in, though. I mean, they've struggled against the elite teams in the league, but you look at their wins, they're 5-7 on the season. Their wins are over the Giants, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Saints, and the Jaguars. Like, that's the exact class of team that the Panthers are. Like, I think this is, I know you don't want to trust the Falcons. They're not a great team to trust. But like, this is the spot you want to trust them in if there's a spot.
Yeah. And, when I was going through the games today, if there was probably still a 3 out there, I may have taken it, but now at under a field goal, it's probably just a pass for me.
All right. What'd you have on props that you hinted at earlier?
Yeah, I was going to go with a Tajay Sharp under. They've been throwing a line out there.
Okay.
I want to say it's been upper 20s, low 30s.
I think so.
His last 3 games, he's had 10, 22, and 21 yards. Like you said, the Panthers are very good against wide receiver 2s. He's the other guy on the outside for them. So Tajay Sharp unders, depending on where we get that line, is something I will be looking at.
Yeah, I like that. Russell Gage has really established himself as the number 1 receiver over the past few weeks. 11 for 130 last week, 6 for 62 and 1 the week before. So, and like we said, if they're having problems against wide receiver 1s and great against wide receiver 2s, that's a good play. I was going to look at Cam Newton under passing yards. If we get anything in the 200s, I'd be all over that. In the under, I don't think that he has the arm to throw for 200 yards. And we know they want to supposedly run the ball. And then just interested to see where the Panthers running backs come out as. The coaching staff keeps talking up Amir Abdullah. We've seen his role kind of show up in the past few weeks. Even with Christian McCaffrey out there, he's had at least 4 targets in 4 of the last 5 games and 20 receiving yards in 4 of the last 5. So at a minimum, I think Abdullah gets the passing role in this offense in the running back position. So maybe look at his over receiving yards, and he might even steal some carries from Chuba Hubbard as well.
Yeah, I'd go Abdullah receptions. I mean, you're talking about Newton unders, and he can't throw the ball. It's going to be these check down routes. It's going to be these screen.
He can only throw it 5 yards, and Abdullah might be the only guy there.
That's what it's going to be. So yeah, I like I'd probably take his receptions. I'm going to guess it opens up at 2.5 just because we haven't seen him a lot, and I would love that.
Okay, I like that idea. All right, we'll keep an eye on that. Anything left to say?
Nope.
All right, let's take it over to the East Coast, the NFC East. Dallas Cowboys against the Washington Footballs. Footballs are +4.5 point home underdogs. Over under is 47.5. Washington has now won 4 games in a row out of the bye week since 2011 when Riverboat Ron took over for the Carolina Panthers. He is 57-40 in games after week 8 in the NFL season compared to 32-38 before week 8. This was something I brought up on the pod a few weeks ago. So just wanted to say it might be something that is real. Ron Rivera teams after the bye week just seem to play better for whatever reason. And then the Cowboys beat the Saints on Thanksgiving Day. Injury news for this game. Logan Thomas is going to be out. Unfortunately, he made his return to the lineup and then quickly exited.
Cowboys didn't beat the Saints on Thanksgiving. What are you talking about?
What? Didn't they?
That wasn't Thanksgiving. It was just a Thursday night game. I'm like, wait, well, Thanksgiving was.
Well, they played 2 Thursdays in a row. I got confused. So, whatever. They won on Thanksgiving. All right. Ricky Seals-Jones may be back to fill that void for the Washington tight end offense. What do you have in this game? Did you take a play on thy side or thy total?
Yeah, I expected, you expected, everyone expected me to be on the footballs here. I am on the Cowboys, not taking their spread. I parlayed their money line with the Packers to get to -110.
You bet the Cowboys here?
Cowboys money line, yes.
Are you insane?
I just think this is the game where the secondary breaks. They really haven't been tested.
Oh, the Cowboys secondary?
So, they're on the footballs are on this. Sorry, because I parlayed the Cowboys with the Packers.
I know.
The footballs are on this 4-game win streak. Yes, they beat the Bucs. It was 2 wonky interceptions by Brady. They were able to control the clock. Then they played the Panthers with Cam Newton. Then they played the Seahawks with Russ and all their issues. And then they played the Raiders last week, who are just void of any weapons on that offense.
Yeah, don't give the footballs any credit. Just
I'm not
excuses.
giving the credit. I'm making my case for the Cowboys. They're Washington still allowing 7.3 yards per pass, 5.9 yards per play, both bottom 5 in the league. And look, Dallas numbers aren't that far off, but this is going to be the most the secondary's been tested. They're injured. They're not a good secondary. And this Dallas team, they're a better overall team. They're top 10 in DVOA. Washington's running the ball fine, but they're still consistently averaging less than 4 yards per carry. It's not like they're ripping off these long runs. They're having these.
They control the clock.
Yeah, so they're having these long drives. When you consistently do that every game, you are more prone to mistakes. And we see, that's part of the Chiefs' issue is teams are making these teams run. They're making them run these long drives, and that's when mistakes happen. When you're running 12-play drives, you're not having these big plays. If it's a 3-yard run by Gibson, 3-yard run by Gibson pass, it can certainly go in your favor, which is why I've been back into footballs lately. But I just think the Cowboys can jump out the lead here and put some pressure on this team. You have Amari Cooper a week healthier, should be able to play more than he did last week. CeeDee Lamb looks great. Cowboys are, Tony Pollard missed practice. I know Zeke hasn't looked great. I'm sure you're going to talk about that, but
great. Tony Pollard might miss. Football's by a million.
I like the Cowboys to win this game. I would not lay the points with them. Go ahead and talk about the footballs.
Man, we are on the opposite side of a couple of games here. I could not disagree more with what you just said. I love the footballs here. +4.5 was one of my first bets of the week on the openers. Absolutely love them. I agree with everything you said. The Cowboys offense is awesome. I think they're going to have some success here, but they're going to limit their own ability because they're going to keep giving Zeke the ball for his 2.9 yards per carry. Zeke outsnapped Pollard 45-28 last week and outtouched him 15-9. And now Tony Pollard pops up on the injury report today. Bad news for this offense. And like you said, the footballs somehow apparently controlling the clock is now a bad thing when you've said it.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. See, don't twist my words. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
You used it as a negative. Now
I didn't use it as a negative. I'm saying when you have these long drives, you're more open to mistakes happening. That's all I'm saying is it's it works great when it works.
It's hard to make a mistake when you just run the ball with Antonio Gibson for 4 yards every play. What's the mistake going to be? I mean,
it hasn't been 4 yards. That's what I'm saying. It's been 3 yards, 2 yards. I don't think he's averaged over 4 yards per carry in the last 3 weeks on this win streak.
He did last week.
Did he average 4 yards per carry?
Right around 4. He was like 23 for 90 something.
That doesn't sound like 4 yards to me.
Give me the football. This game is honestly going to be I think I see this one coming down to the wire. I think the footballs are live here. I would never in a million years touch the Cowboys money line. I think you're insane.
Okay, he averaged 5 against the Panthers, but 3.8, 3.8, and 2.7 in the other games on this win streak.
So you're saying he's averaging 4 yards,
and he's averaging 4 weeks. He's averaging 3.9 for the entire season.
Great ball control. You know what happens if you run for 3.9 yards 3 times in a row? You get a first down. And then you do that 3 times more and you get another first down.
All right, well.
Props for you in this game.
I will be looking again at CeeDee Lamb props. He came through for us last week. If they hang anything, probably 65.5 or lower. I'll be on him again.
Not going to be that low. I was thinking like 72.5.
We'll see.
All right. I agree on CeeDee. Antonio Gibson, definitely going to go back to him. I'm going to look at the rushing plus receiving yards. I think that protects you. If, like you said, the Cowboys do go up early, maybe the footballs can't lean on Gibson as much in the rushing game. We know he was a receiver in college. He has the ability in the passing game. That gives you that little bit of safety just in case the footballs go down early and he does need to be used in the receiving game. We've seen him catch 6-7 balls in a game, go for 30 or 40 yards in the receiving game. So no problem there. And the Cowboys are second in pace of play. So this is a decent spot to target some prop overlooks. Maybe the footballs get a couple more snaps than they are used to getting. And going to look for that somewhere in the high 90s.
Would you go target the Seal if he's back?
Nah, nothing really stood out to me in the matchup for the Seal. That's a very specific matchup based thing. It's okay. Not National Seal Day at any time he's starting. It's got to be the right matchup.
Yeah, got to be the perfect matchup for the Seal to shine through.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to one of the more hilarious games of the week, in my opinion. Seattle Seahawks against the Houston Texans. Texans are 7.5 to 8 point underdogs, depending on where you're looking. Over under is 41. Tyrod Taylor is out. Davis Mills is back in for the Seahawks. Jamal Adams is now out for the year. I honestly, when I was making my numbers on Sunday night to bet the openers, I could not stop laughing at this game. I just how do you even make a spread for this game? It's just the Seahawks, are they back now? Is Russ good? Do they still suck? Adrian Peterson's running the ball. Davis Mills is in. I don't even know. Up is down. I could not make a number for this game to save my life. I have no idea what the heck's going to happen here. What do you have?
To answer your question, no, Russ is not back. They had 250 yards of offense last week.
I agree.
If you take out a 75-yard fake punt touchdown, they should have won that game by 20 points minimum.
They also had 3 drives that started in the 49ers territory.
Yeah, I mean, it was just such a weird game, and I'll talk about it later when we're talking about the 49ers game, but they should have blown them out. Now you have Pete Carroll patting himself on the back saying he was more aggressive in the game. What are we talking about here?
Hilarious.
I want absolutely no part of this game. Like you said, Davis Mills is back after the Texans just got shut out last week. And if you think the Seahawks are back, anyone out there who does, you're wrong. They're not back. And even if they light up the Texans here, they're still not back because it's the Texans. So I don't know who the Seahawks play next week, but whoever it is, I hope they blow out the Texans here so I can fade them next week and whoever it is. So I got nothing here for this game other than one prop.
The $1 million question, because I've seen this floating around a bunch of places. Would you bet the Seahawks in a teaser?
No,
I'm 100% with you.
I don't trust it. I don't trust them, and I don't trust the Titans and teasers this week.
It's stupid to say the Davis Mills Texans are going to win this game, but it's I can't even lay 1.5 in a teaser with the Seahawks.
And we've seen, this year there's been crazy games. I mean, Mike White beat the Bengals. The
Davis Mills almost beat the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's just with the way the Seahawks are going right now, there's absolutely no chance. I want no part of them.
The one play I do kind of like here, I have the Texans team total under 17.5. Not a lot of great things you can say about the Texans offense. They have scored less than 17.5 points in 7 of their last 10 games. They averaged 10 points per game with Davis Mills under center this season. And I don't think the Seahawks defense is terrible. They're a middle of the pack defense. Yeah. So that would be my only play here. Yeah. Props for you. What did you have?
Yeah, I'm going to go, I hate going right back to props, but Rex Burkett, if they post
keeps cashing, keep going.
If they post a rushing line for him, I'm taking the under at this point. I don't care what it is because
37.5
under.
All right. I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, they could give him the ball 20 times and I'd still feel good about him hitting the under.
The Texans O-line is dead last in adjusted line yards by a wide
Yeah, they're terrible. Burkhead's not a good running back. Even if he does get room, he doesn't have any breakaway speed. If he gets a gaping hole, it's going to be a 5-yard run.
He'll get caught by a D lineman from behind.
So just keep posting Rex Burkhead lines, please.
Would you look at Adrian Peterson under rush yards if he was in the 40s, mid-40s?
Yeah, and we did take him last week. They posted it so late, so we weren't able to get it on the prop sheet.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the 40s, well, Alex Collins practiced today, so I don't know what that stats is going to be. I got to imagine if he's back, we're either not going to get an AP line or it is going to be pretty low. So, hypothetically, if Alex Collins didn't play, 30s might be a little low for me to take the under just with how bad this Texans run defense is. So I
think you'll get low 40s if Collins is out.
Maybe I'd have to evaluate that given the situation if it arises.
All right. 11 carries for 16 yards last week.
Yes.
Every time he got the ball,
he'll score though. Don't worry. He'll score.
Maybe. He got like 6 carries inside the 5 and scored once. Every time he gets the ball, he gets like a huge head of steam and he's like flying at full speed towards the line. And the second he hits the line, he just drops to the ground or just like instantly goes backwards. He has no juice in the legs. It's kind of sad. And
teams still keep signing him. Like there's got to be better guys out there. It's crazy. I don't get what it is. Like
I can only imagine Pete Carroll thinks this is like the greatest.
Yeah, I know.
All right, this is enough on this game. I can't do it with these two teams. All right, let's go to the Detroit Lions and the Denver Broncos. Broncos going to be 7.5-point home favorites. Spread is dropping a little bit. Seeing some support for the Lions. Over under is 42. Melvin Gordon was back at practice today for the Broncos, so we'll see if he's going to be back in to cut into Javonte Williams' shining moment. Lions obviously coming off their first win of the season last week. Broncos lost in primetime to the Chiefs. This game is an easy pass for me.
What?
I don't want to lay it with the Broncos and a lot of no's. What do you have here?
I absolutely love the Broncos and teasers.
No.
To me, there is a 0.00.100% chance that the Lions win this game.
Are you crazy?
They are not going on the road into Denver and winning 2 games straight. It's not happening. This Broncos defense is a very good defense. They played great against the Chiefs last week. It's not happening. They're going to be able to run the ball with Javonte and Melvin Gordon if he's back.
Act like the Lions just had one good game all season. They are not winning this
game.
They've been playing good football for a month.
That is my guarantee. That
they almost beat the Steelers and the Browns.
This is the teaser leg of the year. The Broncos will not lose this game. I promise you, the Broncos are not losing this game.
What are you talking about? Why do you have so much confidence in the Broncos? What have they done this year that's been so incredible?
Not confidence in well, first of all, I love their defense, and despite what we saw last week, DeAndre Swift not being on this Lions offense is a huge loss. They're not going to just allow Amon-Ra St. Brown to come out of the backfield with 15 yards of space every play and get all these dump offs.
Their defense is great. What did the Eagles score? Like 40 points on them? They were great then.
Yeah, there was also a pick six, a fumble in their own territory. Don't
let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Last week, the Chiefs scored over 20, but one of them was a pick six. So I think the defense only allowed 14 or 15 points. The defense is playing well all season. They have great personnel. They can run the ball. They have enough weapons on offense. This Lions team has absolutely nothing. They are not.
They've been playing good football for a month.
They are not going into Denver and winning back-to-back games.
Why?
I cannot believe you are passing up this teaser opportunity.
They went into Pittsburgh and went into Cleveland and almost won both games.
It makes me sick that you won't put this in teasers. You're missing an absolutely beautiful opportunity.
Not only am I not putting this in teasers, I'm putting the Lions money line in a parlay if I want to get crazy because I think they're live to win the game.
You're insane.
You're insane.
Okay.
I would never in a million years bet the Broncos here.
All right.
Props for you.
Nothing. Well, Javonte, but I don't have it right. I don't have it here right now because of the Melvin Gordon. Yeah, it's if Melvin doesn't play. Even if he does play and they put the line down in like the low 50s where it was before Gordon went down, I would take that. But we'll see what happens after his big game last week.
Okay. I agree. No other props for me in this game.
Nope.
All right, let's go to our debate of the week. The spread is moving a little bit. Let's see the updated spread right now. All right, San Francisco 49ers against the Cincinnati Bengals. This one has been flipping favorites. Looks like the Bengals are actually 1.5-point home underdogs. Over/under is 49 for the debate. Why don't we just do money line? Since it's been kind of like a pick 'em all week. All right.
Yeah.
So very interesting game here. I think both these teams need to win big time for the playoff races in their respective conferences. Injury report before I break down why I'm on my side. Elijah Mitchell is in the concussion protocol. Deebo Samuel is questionable. Both did not practice today on Wednesday. Joe Burrow hurt his finger towards the end of the Chargers game, played through it. It does sound like it is a legitimate issue. He didn't practice today, but he is expected to play from everything I'm reading. I am going to be on the Bengals.
Mixon didn't practice.
Oh, yeah, Mixon popped up today with an illness. I did not like seeing that. We don't have any news that it's, like something that's expected to keep him out for the game, but, it would be a loss if they certainly didn't have him in the offense. All right. Breakdown of the Bengals money line, which I am on here. I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched, but the Bengals obviously get the home field advantage. You have a West Coast team coming east. This is the third straight home game for the Bengals. Meanwhile, the second game in a row on the road for the Niners. And I think these injuries for the Niners offense are really, really concerning. Obviously, we don't have official word yet. It sounds like Elijah Mitchell is in, I would say Debo too, are in there's a very good chance that they missed the game. And I think that neither one of them is like a super spread impactful player, but this is turning into a cluster injury at the running back position on a team that loves to run the ball. Jeff Wilson is also banged up with a knee injury. Trey Sermon is on RI. Trent Cannon went to the hospital in the middle of the game last week. There's a real possibility that the Niners go into this game with JaMycal Hasty as their only starting running back, who has never carried the ball more than 12 times in a game in his career. He averages an abysmal 3.7 yards per carry of his career. And on the other side of the ball, I just don't think the Niners pass D can keep up with all these weapons for the Bengals. Yes, am I a little bit concerned about the Burrow finger injury? I don't love it, but he stayed the game last week. I'm expecting him to be okay if he's out there. I think Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd is just too much for these Niners corners to keep up with. They also rank 27th in the league against the deep pass, and Joe Burrow is number 4 in the NFL in completions over 40 yards. So I think the Bengals can hit a few explosive plays, and I will take them at home.
So I will say, I love the 49ers here, and it was before any Elijah Mitchell news, which obviously with all these injuries at running back, that would be a huge concern. But
if you didn't bet them yet, would you wait?
Yes, especially now. So I got their money line at plus money. So yeah, now that they're favored
now it's
by
minus 125.
Yeah, so now that they're favored, I probably would wait, but I love getting them at plus money. And I don't know that Mitchell's trending towards not playing. I know you said you expect him to miss, but it just said something popped up on an MRI. It didn't sound like anything extremely concerning. And with all these other injuries, I wouldn't expect it to, unless it's something serious. I would kind of expect him to play. But
okay, I saw one beat reporter that seemed pessimistic, but beat reporters are also
yeah, we're not
morons.
Yeah.
No offense. So
But,
that means he's probably playing.
Yeah. Honestly. So, but look, what would you make this spread? I'm curious.
When I was making my numbers, I had it Bengals minus 2.5.
See, that's crazy to me because we were both on the same boat last week that the Chargers-Bengals game should have been a pick 'em. So you're telling me the Chargers, also a West Coast team traveling east, off a loss, are 2.5 points better than the 49ers. To me, that's absolutely insane. The 49ers are 7th overall in DVOA. Chargers are 16th. Bengals are 19th. I've said all year how much this Bengals team has gotten off easy. They've played an easy schedule. They've overperformed defensively. And Football Outsiders ranks each team's schedule of what they played so far throughout the year in terms of opponent DVOA. Bengals rank out as the easiest schedule in the NFL. So, I wasn't just spitting that out when I say that every week. They have played the easiest schedule in the NFL. And again, I'm going to continue to say this every week about the Bengals. A large part of why I bet against them last week, a large part of why I'm betting against them this week is that offensive line that you cannot trust. How did they respond to me saying that last week? Burrow got sacked 6 times. He's been sacked at least 3 times in every single game this year, but 2. And in those games, he dropped back to pass only 20 and 26 times. 49ers defense is great against the run, so I expect them to be in some 3rd and longs and must-pass situations. Pass rush for 49ers, it's average, slightly above average, but that's really all you need against this Bengals offensive line that ranks 31st in pass block win rate, 4th most sacks allowed in the league. It just continues to be a huge issue. And then you add in this Burrow finger issue, which, you saw last week definitely affect him. Obviously, he has a week to heal here, but we don't know if it'll be 100%. And last week, I don't take anything away from that San Francisco game. I take a little bit out of Garoppolo, just kind of proving that my thoughts that I don't think he's a great quarterback. But, you have the 73-yard punt for fake punt for a touchdown. You had their kick returner get hurt on the opening drive. And then, the replacement fumbles the second half kickoff, which gives the Seahawks possession. So it was
Gerald Everett gives it right back.
Yeah. And you said it, the Seahawks started every drive, it seemed, in 49ers territory. So it was just one of those weird games. To me, San Francisco is just clearly the better team here. The stats back it up, and getting them out of pick 'em here would, I just love the 49ers.
All right. See how it plays out. Do you have any props that you like in this game?
Well, I had Elijah props written down, Elijah Mitchell, but now we're gonna have to wait and see on that because when he's in there, he's getting pretty much every single carry. So that was such an easy cash last week, even with him getting banged
his
up.
Rush attempts.
Yeah. So yeah, we got him at 17.5 last week. If he does play and it's around that again, I'd take it at 10 out of 10 times.
Definitely agree with that. All right. I have no props in this game, surprisingly. Moving on. Giants and the Chargers. Just get an updated spread here. All right, this one is down to Chargers -10. Over under is going to be at 43. Setting up to be a very, very weird game as we progress through the week. The Giants are an absolute mess as they have been for weeks. They're basically their entire offense is on the injury report. We're getting different news every day on whether it's going to be Jake Fromm or Mike Glennon. We know it's not going to be Daniel Jones. It just depends on if it's going to be the second string or the third string backup. They also have basically every wide receiver is hurt. Saquon Barkley missed practice today. Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay. Like, who knows who's going to be there? And on the Chargers side, we have Keenan Allen is placed on the COVID list on Monday. He is vaccinated, but did test positive for COVID, so there's a decent chance he misses the game. Then today, Mike Williams and Chris Harris are announced as close contacts. And then they're declared out for the game. And then they're declared as not out for the game because they didn't test positive. So I don't know what the heck is going on in this game. All I can say is I would never lay double digits with the Chargers here. Somehow, some way, I feel like the Giants are going to hang around this game because the Chargers are going to do everything in their power to let them hang in, even though they won by 20 points or about 20 against the Bengals last week. They did everything they could to keep the Bengals in that game. So I would never lay it with the Chargers here. I don't want any part of the Giants. I don't know what's going on in this game. Crazy stuff here. What do you have?
Yeah, so I took the Giants at 10.5. I probably make this around 8.5, even with Mike Glennon or Jake Fromm. The Chargers team, you said, they're just extremely inconsistent. Only 2 of their 7 wins have been by more than one possession. They haven't won back-to-back games since October. They're 2-4 against the spread at home, 3-5 against the spread as a favorite. The Chargers pass on 65% of their plays, and the Giants are a top 10 defense against the pass. The Giants are a pretty underrated defense. They're not good against the run, but they have a good secondary. They're good against the pass, 8th in DVOA against pass, only allowing 6.3 yards per pass. So, we haven't really seen the Chargers in any game commit to the run. So I think this matchup kind of plays in the Giants' favor in that standpoint. Can the Giants, take advantage of this weak Chargers run defense behind their terrible offensive line? Maybe. I think they can do enough with Barkley to get them going. In reality, it's just kind of a bet on the Chargers' inconsistencies, and I don't think they should be laying 10.5 points here. It just seems crazy coming off a big win, which I think inflated this line by a couple points. Betting on an underrated pass defense here. And, with all these unknowns with Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, if Justin Herbert goes into this game without his top 2 targets, I love it even more. And there was also, I think 10 or 12 other people they said tested positive. They didn't release names. So, we don't know who it is, but, it's only Wednesday right now. So who knows what's going to come the rest of the week as far as close contacts and other positive tests. So with all these unknowns here, laying double digits, give me the Giants 10.5.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you from a numbers perspective. I think the spread here should be 8.5 as well. I agree. I'm not going to lay it with the Giants. Maybe if some of this Chargers COVID stuff goes crazy and we get to Sunday, I'll consider it, but no play right now for me in this game. Props for you in this one.
I do not have anything right now.
All right. I have a couple. On the Giants side, I am definitely going to be looking at Saquon Barkley under rushing yards. This is something I played a couple times this season. I'm hoping this is going to be a little bit inflated because he's playing a good matchup against the Chargers defense. So I'm hoping to get this somewhere in the low 60s. Saquon actually ceded some snaps to Devontae Booker last week. Booker played 23 snaps and saw 10 touches to Saquon's 17 in a very close game against the Dolphins. So that was definitely concerning. Chargers are a good matchup on paper, but I just think that the Giants offense is going to struggle to sustain drives. They don't have any weapons in the passing game. I don't think they're going to be able to stay on the field. So, and also, if you look at the numbers, the season high rushing yards for Saquon Barkley, this is a guy with supposed to be big playability and can break an 80-yard run at any time. His season high is 57 rushing yards, and he's been lined in the mid-50s pretty much all year. If you get him in the low 60s, I think that's a good play. Would you look at that?
Scares me a little bit, but yeah, the numbers back it up.
Okay, Chargers wide receiving situation. This is going to be like a flowchart thing here. If Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both play, you operate like normal. You can take your Keenan Allen over receptions, Austin Eckler receiving yards, whatever you want to do. If Keenan Allen sits and Mike Williams plays, I think Mike Williams goes to the Keenan Allen role and Jalen Guyton goes to the Mike Williams role and gets the downfield targets. So Mike Williams over receptions, you're going to get it at a discounted price. You may even get a juice 3.5. Maybe you get 4.5 around plus money. I think that would be a play. I think Mike Williams will go to the lower Keenan Allen role.
I don't necessarily agree with that. I definitely think he'd be a good play if you get low receptions. But if Keenan Allen's out, you're not getting a 3.5 receptions. I can guarantee you that. That's not happening.
Okay.
I bet they post like a 5.5 if Keenan Allen's out. That's 12 targets probably to be dispersed throughout this offense, or 10 targets, we'll say. So you're not getting a 3.5. That's wishful thinking.
That's fair. But we did see Mike Williams has games this season of 8 catches, 7 catches, 7. Like, he opened the season with a super high catch value. So I think if we get a 4.5, maybe even a 5.5 plus money, I'd be fine with that. If Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both sit, then you're looking at Jalen Guyton and Josh Palmer taking over the receiving role. Then I would probably pivot to an Austin Eckler over receiving yards. I think they'll probably try and use him more. You get him in the low 40s. Maybe they give some more running back carries to some of these other dudes like Larry Roundtree or Josh Kelly or whatever. And Eckler becomes more used in the passing game.
Yeah, and we'll post this flow chart on the Twitter page for everyone to see.
For sure. Last play, Austin Eckler touchdown. If you get a -150 or less, maybe even do touchdown and Chargers money line to get the price down a little bit. 15 total touchdowns on the season. This dude is a touchdown machine, especially if Keenan Allen and maybe even Mike Williams are out. Like, 100% chance this guy's scoring.
Yeah, can't go wrong at this point.
All right, ready to move on to the big salami?
Yep.
All right, Bills and the Buccaneers, the prime game of the 425 slate. Bucks are 3 to 3.5 point home favorites. Over under is 53 here. Obviously, Bucks came off a pretty comfortable win against the Falcons, while the Bills lost a crazy Monday Night Football game to the Patriots. I think I am officially ready to say it. I am out on this Buffalo Bills team. I don't think they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. They're just not the team that we wanted them to be. They're still getting an insane amount of credit in the market every single week, despite beating no one all season long. Their entire season has consisted of blowing out inferior opponents and losing to legitimate playoff caliber teams. We've seen them go up against the Steelers in week 1. They lost outright as 7 points favorites. Beat the Chiefs in week 5 as a dog. That was a very good game. Lost to the Titans in week 6 as 6-point favorites. Lost to the Colts in week 11 as 7-point favorites, a game Rue remembers fondly. And then lost to the Patriots last week as 3-point favorites. So not only are they not covering spreads against these playoff caliber teams, they're losing the games outright. I'm all over the Bucks here. I love this at -3. I played the Bucks over 3 touchdowns. I played their team total over. Like, I honestly think the Bucks are going to absolutely stomp them. And Tre'Davious White went down for the season. He was out last game against the Patriots. Obviously didn't matter because they didn't throw the ball. Good luck covering the Bucs receivers without your top cornerback. I think Brady's going to throw for somewhere like 7 billion yards.
Yeah, and that was the big point I wanted to make, is that this is the game where that loss of Tre'Davious White really hurts the Bills. Obviously didn't need him last week, but that's huge in this game with all these weapons. I know Antonio Brown's still out, but just Godwin and Evans on the outside is enough to make that loss substantial in this matchup. And there's not much room for error against this Bucs offense when they're clicking like they are right now. And yeah, you mentioned the Bills. I said the Bengals in terms of DVOA played the easiest schedule. Well, Buffalo played the second easiest schedule in that stat. So they've really no impressive wins. I mean, you can
DVOA metrics still love the Bills though, and I disagree.
They do.
They're number 2 in overall DVOA.
Yeah, and I use the DVOA, and it seems to work a lot for the handicapping I do, but there are times I disagree with it. And some of them are like, with this Bucs defense, they're still ranked high, but turnovers play a big role in that. But regardless, I don't think this Bills team is as good as they are. They can hang their hat on that Chiefs win as long as they want. I think the market is still they're still getting value from last year, which I get it. Like, they were a great team last year, but I said in our preview podcast of this going into this year, I expect regression from Josh Allen this year, and we've seen it. And I think this is a game where he's going to be pressing. Brady's going to put pressure on him. And I think this is a game where you're going to see him make some mistakes and turn the ball over. We've seen a lot this year. And I think one of the biggest issues for this Bill team is just the lack of a run game, the lack of a real presence in that backfield. They don't have, Josh Allen doesn't have someone on that backfield he can lean on if he gets in trouble to dump it off to them, or there's not a game where they can just lean on the run game. It's pretty much all on Josh Allen to make plays. I expect, I'm like you, I have Bucks -3. I have their touchdowns over 3. There's really no stopping this Bucks offense right now. Do I think the Bills can put up points? Yeah, I do. I don't expect this to be a Bucks just absolute rout. I expect, we've seen the Bucks. I've talked about their defense enough. I think their secondary is very exploitable, but I just think the Bucks are too hard to stop right now, and I think they're gonna take care of business here.
Yep. Totally with you. And the other factor, the Bills are on a short week here. They're traveling down to Tampa, so they're on the road. They're coming off an extremely tough and physical game where the Patriots just ran the ball on every single play. Their D-line and their linebackers and stuff are going to be a little bit beat up, so I think that plays into the Bucs' hands even more. And the Bucs team total we were talking about, that's actually on FanDuel, the over 3 touchdowns. I believe it's like -158. So that's like, you could just play their over 27.5 points, but we felt like that was a good way where you're basically setting up a spot where like it's pretty hard to imagine the Bucs not scoring 3 touchdowns. So it kind of feels like a free bet where your worst case, you're pushing better chance that they're scoring 4 or 5 touchdowns and you're cashing.
Yeah.
Props for you in this one.
I have 2. The first one is Leonard Fournette receptions. Would probably play this.
Oh yeah.
Would probably play this up to 3.5. What?
3.5? Dude, it's going to be like 5.5.
You think it's going to be that high?
Yes. And I would still play the over.
5.5, maybe 4.5 plus money. I would play. I wouldn't play 5.5.
It's not going to be plus money at 4.5.
Last 4 games, 8 targets, 6 targets, 9 targets, reception, 7, 6, and 8. And
look at that. He's at 7. Like he's not getting a 3.5.
Okay. 4.5 plus money. I would play
5.5.
I don't think it's going to be 5.5.
His receiving yards opened at 36.5 if you just want to play that.
Okay. And he's legit open on every single play. He comes out of the backfield and there's no one within.
I mean, you think about the Bucs offense. Like you have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Rob Gronkowski. Like the defense has to spend so much attention to those guys. You're basically guaranteeing that Leonard Fournette has a one-on-one against a linebacker on every single play. And Brady basically looks downfield. If he doesn't have a guy open in the middle of the field, doesn't have Gronk over the middle, he checks it down to Lenny every single time.
Yeah.
Like that play is there every single play. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the other prop I have is Mike Evans over 57.5 receiving yards. He's been over in 8 out of 12 games this season. And like we said, no Tre'Davious White. I think Mike Evans, he's good for he could go for this in one play, honestly. And it just seems pretty low for Evans. I know he's like one of those guys who could come out any week and lay an egg, but it just, this is too low of a total for a guy that can see 10 plus targets. And now the Bills don't have their number 1 cornerback. So Mike Evans over 57.5 yards.
Yeah, that didn't seem crazy low. I was very confused when I saw that. It's probably just the books, honestly, just using like the Bills' standard defensive metrics.
Probably, yeah.
I don't think they put too much thought into some of these props. All right, ready to go Sunday Night Football?
Yes.
Let's do it. NFC North divisional battle. Chicago Bears take on the Green Bay Packers. Packers are 12.5-point home favorites in Lambeau. Over under is 43.5. One of the few games with potentially some weather. Doesn't look like anything crazy. Honestly, just like a standard Green Bay game. 33 degrees, 10-mile-an-hour winds at kickoff. So nothing that Aaron Rodgers and the Bears team hasn't seen. So no real issues there. Packers coming off the bye. Bears coming off a beatdown at home by the Arizona Cardinals. They are going to turn back to Justin Fields. For the Packers, they're expected to get Aaron Jones back in that backfield. Do you have a play on the side or total here?
I don't. I took the Packers. I did the same thing we do with the Bucks. I took their over 3 touchdowns. I think it was -140 on FanDuel. Same thing. I don't see, this Packers offense is great right now. They're getting Jones back. I don't see them not scoring at least 3 touchdowns and getting you a push here. I probably would lean the Packers laying this many points. Aaron Rodgers has dominated the Bears in his career. And, this Bears team we talk about every week. They're an absolute mess. Fields coming back, it adds the running weapon in the backfield, but outside of that, he's good for at least, 5 passes a game that have a chance of getting intercepted. He takes too many sacks, and I just don't see any avenue that the Bears could keep this game close, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm all over your play on the Packers over 3 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers in his career against the Bears, 22-5 record, scoring an average of 26.2 points per game. And the last 2 seasons, the Packers put up 41, 35, and 24 points against the Bears. So all over that.
And these team total and touchdown bets are just a way to get exposure to these big favorites without having to lay the points, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Did you have any props in this game?
Nothing right now. Nothing.
I'll look at Devontae Adams.
Yeah, he'll probably be in that mid 90s range, where you mid to low 90s.
I was thinking high 80s. We'll see where it opens up. The Bears are 30th in DVOA against wide receiver ones. Adams had 89 receiving yards against them back in week 6 in a game the Packers won 24-14.
Yeah, I don't think you can go anything on the Bears side, honestly. I mean, maybe you could go David Montgomery if you can run the ball in the Packers, but I don't trust. I just don't trust the offense as a whole, and I'm not targeting anyone in their passing game with Fields back.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you look at unders, but they're probably going to be set so low that it's not even worth it.
Yeah. We'll
just have to sit back and enjoy the Bears in prime time.
Yes. Yeah. Are we not at the point where they can flex games out of prime time?
Do you want to hear the best part?
What?
I checked the schedule for next week. Guess who's on prime time?
The Bears? No way.
Vikings and Bears is Monday Night Football.
Who scheduled these games expecting the Bears to be good?
Unbelievable. They would give the Bears 2 primetime games towards the end of the season.
Wow. That's disappointing. Yeah, and if the Vikings lose this week, they're pretty much done.
That game's going to be a mess.
It's going to mean absolutely nothing. Yeah.
Both teams are going to see who can quit harder in the first quarter.
Pretty much. They might both fire their coaches going into next week if they lose.
All right. That'll be it for Sunday Night Football. Let's go to Monday night, a game that should be pretty exciting. NFC West battle between the top 2 teams, Rams and the Cardinals. Cardinals are down to 2-point home favorites. Over under is 51. I feel like this is a game where if you watch the 2 teams, you're probably going to like the Cardinals. Kyler and D-Hop are back. Arizona has the best record in the NFL at 10-2. The Rams really haven't looked right for a month outside of last week's game against the Jaguars, which I'm really not putting too much stock in. I actually really like the Rams in this game. I grabbed them at +3 on the opener. I don't mind their money line at +120 right now. I think they're also one of the best teaser legs on the board. I haven't loved what I've seen out of their offense. I just honestly feel like this is finally a good sell high spot on the Cardinals. I've kind of been waiting to sell this team a little bit, and it's also a good buy low spot on the Rams. So I think, a divisional battle, the Cardinals took care of the Rams earlier in the year. I think maybe, you lean towards the team that lost in that first matchup. I think the Rams can come out here and play a pretty good game and at least keep it close, and they're very live to win the game outright.
Yeah, see, I'm opposite of you, and I took the Cardinals money line, minus 130, and I think a lot of people are going to have that same thought process as you. You expect the Rams to get revenge here if the Cardinals blew them out, but I just think this Cardinals team, I wasn't a believer in them early in the season, and I was kind of like you, looking for a spot to sell them, but I just think they're a really good team. And I think they're a much better team than the Rams, and Stafford's still playing injured. The defense has been disappointing going back to October when they let Davis Mills throw for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think Robert Woods is a big loss for this offense in the passing game as that gadget guy and also run blocking. You bring Odell in, but he's still a completely different player than Woods.
He's no Robert Woods.
Yeah, even when Woods wasn't having his catches and stuff, he's so integral to that system in the offense they run. I think it's just a big hit for them. And then again, the Stafford injuries, he's playing with a shoulder, playing with a back injury that's obviously affecting him. And I'm not putting any stock into the Jaguars game last week. And it's kind of like the Seahawks. I'm not going to say they're back after that game last week. I'm just not doing it. I just think the Cardinals, they're healthier. We saw them come out last week and not miss a beat in the cold, and it's not just Kyler in this offense. This defense has been lights out. This defense is playing great against the pass. The Rams, I don't know that they have a good enough running game to where they can exploit that weakness of the Cardinals defense. So it's really, I just think the Cardinals are a much better team here now at home here. Give me the Cardinals money line.
All right. I'm going to start calling you Moneyline Rue this week.
All right.
Taking all the money lines. Do you have any props that you're going to be looking at?
I don't right now, no.
I had two that I'm going to be looking at. Kyler Murray rush yards. I think we may get a little bit of a discount here. Obviously, Kyler was not really running the ball at all earlier in the season. He had like 5 straight games with under 15 rushing yards. Came back off the IR last week, exploded for 10 carries and 59 yards. So I'm hoping the books may factor in some of those priors where he was only running 2 or 3 times a game. Maybe we can get a number in the low 30s, but he looked like fully healthy Kyler last week. I think he adds another element to that offense. So definitely going to look at his over rush yards.
We mentioned his under last week too. We said maybe we take his under. We ended up not putting it on the prop sheet, but
I didn't even see, where did it open it?
I didn't see either, honestly.
I was checking for it. I feel like they must not
maybe
have posted
maybe
it
they
really
didn't post it
late
because I didn't see it.
Yeah, that was a good time not to play the under because he
Yes.
was back. I did want to say James Conner touchdown. I think I'm going to be off that now. I think we saw Kyle. Obviously, Conner did score last week, but it was on kind of like a fluky 25-yard reception where he like spun around, made a guy miss. Kyler was vulturing a lot of those goal line red zone carries. So I think if Kyler's going to be using his legs at the goal line, that kind of takes a lot of the value out of James Conner touchdowns.
And Chase Edmonds is back. I don't expect him to get goal line carries.
No, I think he's going to miss one more week.
Okay. He's missing one more week. Okay.
But yeah, he probably won't get goal line either. On the Rams side, I think I'm going to look at Van Jefferson in this game. The Cardinals were actually the only team in the entire league to hold Cooper Kupp under 90 receiving yards, which is like absolutely mind blowing. When they played in week 4, Kupp went 5 for 64 on 13 targets. The Cardinals had a really good game plan to stop him. So I don't know if they're going to be able to hold him down that low again this week, but I think they're going to try. And Van Jefferson went 6 for 90 and a touchdown back in week 4. We've seen him really step up. Honestly, I think he's been better than Odell stepping up into that wide receiver 2 role. So I think if you get him in the low 50s while the Cardinals pay so much attention to Cooper Kupp, it could be a good spot to go to Van Jefferson.
All right.
All right. Anything left to say before we head over to our long shots of the week?
Nope.
All right, let's do it. Long shots of the week. In this segment, we give our favorite bet price that odds of plus 200 or greater. Rue has been cooking up something good for this segment all show, so I know he's got a great play here. I will send it over to you first.
Yeah, look, I'm calling my shot again. I'm saying another, these dogs have been coming through. And we're fading the same team we did a few weeks ago. I'm going Jags money line. I think they can hang around here enough to pull out a win at the end.
What are we doing?
Look, I don't think this. There's nothing about this Titans team that scares me. There's no reason that the Jags can't hang around with this team the way that they. You could laugh at me. You probably would.
I am laughing.
You laughed at me when I took the Texans too, and they won. There's nothing. There's nothing scary about this Titans team that the Jaguars can't hang around and win this game.
Man, we are just opposite on so much of this stuff. It's crazy.
One of us is going to have like a great week and the other one's going to have a terrible
week. I don't think we can both have a great week with the way this is shaping up. One of us is going to
come down to the props, honestly.
Well, we'll be on the same side.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that it's going to have to save one of us.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll be no problem. The prop sheet will come through. My long shot of the week. I'm going to go with a little Thursday night football, same game parlay. Got 5 legs in this bad boy. We're going to start Kirk Cousins over 200 passing yards. Going to pair that with Justin Jefferson over 70 receiving yards. On the Steelers side of the ball, we're going to go Deontay Johnson, 50 receiving yards. Pat Freiermuth, touchdown, and the Steelers at plus 8.5. Parlay all them together. Kirk Cousins 200 passing yards, Justin Jefferson 70 receiving yards, Deontay Johnson 50 receiving yards, Pat Freiermuth touchdown, Steelers plus 8.5. That gets you to a plus 612 odds on a FanDuel SGP.
Wow, going for the super long shot.
Yep, feeling good.
All right,
let's go to our favorite bets of the week. You will do the honors. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been having a ton of success with teasers. So going right back to one, going with the Ravens, who we talked about, absolutely love. And then my guarantee, can't lose, teaser leg, Denver Broncos, Ravens and Broncos teaser.
I cannot wait until the Lions win and the Jaguars lose by 50. Can't wait. My favorite bet of the week, I was considering the Washington Footballs plus 4.5, but they did not quite make the cut. I know you like the Cowboys there. My favorite bet of the week is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars team total under. I got this at under 17 points at minus 117 on FanDuel. Touched on this play a little bit earlier. The last time the Jaguars scored more than 17 points was a game in mid-October, played on another continent against a Dolphins team that didn't know what the heck they were doing. So I'm not even sure that counts because it wasn't in the United States of America. The Jags did put up 19 points in their first matchup against the Titans back in like week 5. But that was based on 149 yards on the ground from James Robinson. I touched on he's been getting benched in the last game for Carlos Hyde. He's been banged up. He's on the injury report for multiple weeks. They also got 64 yards from Dan Arnold in that game, who's on IR, 49 yards from Jamal Agnew, who's now on IR. And on top of all that, they have one of the worst kickers in the league. I think Vrabel is going to come out with an awesome game plan. I think this team is going to be firing on all cylinders out of the bye week. They're going to take care of business here. They know there's more in stock for this season if they can get the number 1 seed, and they're going to lay it all out there to do so. Jaguars come in at 10 points or under in my best estimation.
Okay. Disagree.
Can tell you love it. All right. Do we want to do a chalk donkey parlay? Is there even anyone we can do this week?
Probably not. There's none of, I don't like any of the big favorites. Like I don't like the Titans. I don't like the Seahawks.
No. What if we did? Think of a guy that's really likely to score a touchdown. What if we did like a chalk donkey touchdown scorer parlay with Austin Eckler and someone?
I don't love that.
You don't even know what it is yet.
I don't love adding the touchdown in. I don't know. I don't like laying minus like big odds for anyone to score a touchdown. That's, even in a parlay, I don't think it's worth it.
All right. If you say so.
Yeah. I don't think no chalk donkey this week.
All right. Chalk donkey will return next week.
No need to force it. No need to force it.
Yeah, that's fine. If we don't find one, we're not just going to throw one out for no reason and not bet it. We don't do that here.
Nope.
Anything left to say?
Nope.
All right. That's a wrap. Hope everyone out there has a fantastic week 14. Let's keep the good vibes rolling. Any questions, comments, or concerns, hit us up on Twitter at BetRightPod. DMs are always open. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We will give you a shout out on the podcast if you leave us something nice to say, or if you say something funny, that will also be mentioned as well. Smash the like button on YouTube. As always, the link to the YouTube video will be posted in the description of this podcast. It will also post a link to our Twitter page. From Jeff and Rue, we are the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast, because every time you bet with us, you bet right.